what really will help with resume or portfolio first. I think that the resume, when it comes to UX at least, is a little bit of an afterthought. The first thing they see is having your stuff on a website. So I only had one case study that was from that certificate, and a little write up for my previous internship. I didn't really do much there, to be honest. For me, I applied to, I don't know, probably like 50, 60 internships, and I got rejected from like 95% of them, instant rejection. And I just got an email saying that you have been invited to the final round of interviews. A big one is learn about the company, right? Like, look into the company will have leadership principles or some sort of core values that they have. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm a con artist. I shouldn't be here. I'm like surrounded by such brilliant, hardworking, kind people, and the imposter syndrome was real. Like, the first day was that intern orientation. I'm like, everyone here is so smart. A core principle of Microsoft is your ability to leverage the work of others. AI is going to become very prevalent in our lives. I think people are going to interact with it all the time, just as they do like iPhones and any software product.
AI will replace junior designers, true or false?
False.
Welcome, Tory, to the podcast. I'm super excited to have you, and I've been looking forward to this one because I will be one of the listeners of the podcast myself. I'm going to start my master's in the fall semester, so I'll be one of the students who's gonna also look for internships coming in the fall semester. So I'm super excited to sort of touch upon the topics like how to apply for internships, what's the timeline like, how to get a job at a big FANG company. So there's lots of questions, but before we jump into it, I want you to I want to give you an opportunity to sort of introduce yourself. Talk to me a little bit about your past experience, your experience before getting an internship at Microsoft, and what actually brought you into design.
Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to say I'm really honored to be here, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to have me on. I think that you probably know more than I do, so it really is a privilege. So thank you for that. But yeah, so a little background on myself. I'm Tory. I'm an undergraduate student at the University of Central Florida. I just finished my sophomore year. And right now I'm interning as a product design intern at Microsoft, and I'm based at the headquarters in Redmond, Washington. I'm on their business, industry, and co-pilot team. So very interesting, learning a lot I don't know. But yeah, that's my journey. I'm very interested in UX spaces, especially like interactions regarding AI. So excited to talk about that today.
Awesome. So let's first start with your past experience before even applying to Microsoft. I know a lot of students have this questions, including myself. What kind of experience is even required to get your first internship at a big fan company? So I want to know what kind of experience you had on your resume that sort of helped you to get your first internship.
Yeah. I think that the most what really will help with resume or portfolio first. I think that the resume, when it comes to UX at least, is a little bit of an afterthought. The first thing they see is having your stuff on a website, some projects, taking the time to invest in a side project. I used the Google UX certificate, and there's a lot of certificates or boot camps that people can do. But that one really helped me. It was self-paced, it was pretty affordable, and just having like a really well thought out case study, I think, is very strong in a UX space. um, I think that having one really well thought out design, mine was for a mobile prototype, just showing the intention behind your decisions is very useful, and having one case study is better than having, like, let's say three, right? And of course, this is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. I had one previous internship to Microsoft, which was more kind of on the marketing side of things. It was visualizing. I was a product design intern, but it was just visualizing software healthcare products, and that was very interesting. Um, but yeah, I think that personal projects and just taking the time to get into whatever you can is very helpful with friends or clubs too, or anything like that.
So, on your portfolio, so you mentioned a few things, right? You mentioned that you had one internship before Microsoft, and then you also did a certificate with Google, right? So, as part of the certificate, did you do a project?
Yeah, so the Google UX certificate, I really recommend it. It helped me get into UX. I didn't know what it was before that, to be honest. Um, and it will walk you through a mobile case study. So it'll take you through user research, competitive audit, doing wireframe, sitemaps, prototyping, testing, and it will take you through all the steps to end with a mobile prototype. And with things like that, you're not submitting it anywhere. So you really get out what you put in, but it will take you through the skill set to build a prototype at the end.
Awesome. So in total, on your portfolio, did you have two case studies, or did you just have like one case study that was coming from either your certificate or was your previous internship?
So I only had one case study that was from that certificate, and the a little write up for my previous internship. I didn't really do much there, to be honest, so there wasn't too much. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, good to know. Now let's jump into the entire hiring process. I feel like there's a lot. Like, how to apply? Where to apply from? Like, do I reach out to people? Referrals, networking, right? There's a lot that goes in like when you apply for a job, especially at like a big company like Microsoft. Um, so I want you to share as much as possible, depending how much you remember, because it's been a while. I understand. So talk to me about the timeline. Like, when did you find out the internships are out? Did someone from Microsoft reach out to you, or did you just see it online?
Yeah, so for me, I applied to, I don't know, probably like 50, 60 internships, and I got rejected from like 95% of them, instant rejection. But for Microsoft specifically, I applied to all my internships on LinkedIn, maybe a few on Handshake, which is another job portal. I didn't you personally, I didn't have any referrals or anything like that. I just went through. I would suggest LinkedIn can do like an easy apply. I've heard that it's better to apply like on the company website itself. I don't know if that's true, but for Microsoft, I applied through LinkedIn in November, and it was very strange because I was going through the interview process for different companies at that time, and everyone approaches it differently. But I actually didn't hear back from Microsoft until I think it was February, and I just got an email saying that you have been invited to the final round of interviews. Um, and it's in 7 weeks, and this is what will happen. Telling me how to prepare, that I would have to have a presentation of a project walkthrough, and then three one on ones with current designers at the company. And it was very interesting. When I got that email, I thought it was a scam. I called my mom up. I'm like, Mom, I got this weird scam. But yeah, so it's very unique.
So you're saying that you applied in November, and then
Yeah.
in Feb you got an email that you're in the final rounds. So you have no idea what happened between November and Feb and how you reached to the final rounds. So it feels like it all happened in the background.
It was very strange. Yeah, other companies have a lot of transparency in the interview process, and there are different steps. And Microsoft, yeah, and since being here, I've met other interns, and it was the same for them. They didn't hear anything, and then they got that email that they were invited. So it seems like a lot of discussion internally before they meet you. At least at this company, it's different for others.
Yeah, so it sounds like they look at your resume and portfolio because that's the only piece that you've submitted as part of the application, right? Is there any questionnaire that you filled out while submitting the application?
Yeah, I applied to a few companies, but I think I know a lot of places ask for a cover letter. I didn't write a cover letter personally. I think that there's like a space to submit a referral if you want to, and I think like just basic demographics, where you go to school, your transcript with your grades for an internship. Um, but yeah, I think I would say that like 80% of that decision is probably portfolio based. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So okay, a lot of people talk about this. Did you tailor your resume for Microsoft specially, or did you just like use the one that you used it for all the applications?
Yeah, so I did not at all. My one case study that I have was for a mobile prototype for a children's clothing app. So it was very not tailored at all. My resume is running on hopes and dreams, to be honest. But no, it was very general. So yeah, but I will say the projects that I did have, the two were very different from each other. One was just like like a e-commerce app, and the other one was more like visualization regarding AI and healthcare. So
Cool.
very different.
Now, regarding your resume, right? A lot of people have like one column, and a few people have two columns. Do you have any say in that? Like, did you in your school did someone tell you to have like a two column or have like a one column? Because sometimes these resumes are like auto screened, right? So like they will be like rejected automatically. So
Mhm.
did you use like a software to make sure that it's going through the system, or do you just like um, applied like without caring about it's even is it even like going through the system?
Um, as far as my resume, um, I just submitted like a Word document that had it. I don't, to be honest, I don't think it really makes so much of a difference as far as columns and things like that. Again, I think UX, the main thing is the projects that you have in your portfolio. Um, I've heard that concise is better when it comes to resume building. You want to showcase your past experience. Some projects are important too, your university, but you don't have to make it like I'd say like once you're over like 2 pages, I think it's a lot, um,
Hmm.
in my opinion,
Got it. So portfolio is pretty much like everything, like 90% of what it is. Got it.
from what I've learned.
Yeah. So what do you think like made your application for Microsoft successful?
Yeah, I don't know. I was really shocked when I honestly I thought that the current Microsoft intern must have accidentally sent me the acceptance letter when I got it. But I think that the case study that I have I tried to make it very in depth
Mhm.
and just a lot of rationale, not just showing the designs, but why I made the designs, why I made the decisions that I did, right? And then after testing with users, I iterated in why I iterated in that way, just showing the decision making behind your design process. Because I've seen a lot of portfolios that have beautiful UI, and it's really impressive beyond anything I could do. But there has to be rationale, at least in a UX space, behind why. Like how many clicks does the user have to get to accomplish their goal, right?
Mhm.
How are we limiting time and task on this product? So just that intentionality, I think, is what helped my portfolio.
Yeah, and I'm sure that this intentionality also helped you during your interview because maybe while presenting your case study, they might have like asked you these questions. Or why did you make this decision? So we're going to talk a little bit about the interview as well, but I'm sure that these details really help out later when you're actually storytelling your case studies and presenting your work to the hiring managers. Um, did you like network at all before applying?
No. I actually on LinkedIn I would try and connect with people that are just in the UX space. I have a big interest in big tech. So at companies I was interested in, I don't think any Microsoft specifically, and just asked for like a coffee chat, just to learn, and get their opinion. And a few victims accepted, and they're very generous with their time. And yeah, it never hurts to learn. So I don't know if I so much networked for my application process, but just to learn has been very helpful.
Did you also get like feedback on your portfolio?
I don't think I ever asked for a portfolio review, just because I don't know. I think that a lot of those full-time employees, like, they're very pressed for time. That would have been very helpful though. Like I have from professors asked for feedback. Like, what do you think about this personal project? Um, but no, just in general, asking like, how did you break in?
Yeah.
What was your journey into UX? What do you think is important when you're working with and you see a new grad come in? what skills do you look for?
Hmm.
You know, getting their insight.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so how did you prepare for your Microsoft interview? So now we have reached the interview stage. What do you think really helped you prepare for it?
Yeah, so I got that email. I think it was February 11th, and I had 1 week. I was informed of the interview coming up, and I had 1 week to prepare. So I was a little bit stressed, but I made two slide deck presentations of two projects that I had done. One project was that Google certificate case study, and I just did a more in-depth walkthrough of the product. Through this slide deck, and that was around 15 minutes, the presentation. The other one was actually, I used a design challenge. I had a take home design challenge from another company as part of their interview process. And I had 5 hours to basically come up with a solution for a design problem within a pre existing app that they had. And I just want to showcase, my other case study was done over, I think, 3 months. And so that's, when I really take my time to develop a full, like mobile prototype. But what about when I'm more pressed for time? I had 5 hours to create that other design challenge for that other company. So I want to showcase that, and that I made into a slide deck, my process on that, my thinking on that. And so together they were around 30 minutes. And then I had questions from those that I presented to. And the other part of the other three interviews for Microsoft, that presentation was the first interview, were one on ones and they were behavioral. So I tried to review the STAR method of answering interview questions, describe your situation, task, analysis, result, action, result. I don't know. I guess I didn't review it that well, but just the way that you answer behavioral questions. They want to learn, how do you work in a group. How do your past experiences reflect where you are now. Um, a big one is learn about the company, right? Like look into the company will have leadership principles or some sort of core values that they have. And one I saw a lot at Microsoft was collaboration, impact, enhancing productivity, right? And customer obsession, and kind of weave those into your answers. So when I was in my behavioral interviews, I just stick in like, oh, I interviewed users and that helped with my customer obsession to iterate this feature. And they'll see really that you did your research and you did your homework. And it might be funny to use those specific words, but they'll see that you took time to embrace that.
That is really,
Yeah.
really interesting. Like, it is tricky to do that because sometimes you don't want to come out, hey, I'm like pushing it or I'm just like forcing these words that I read on the website. So using those words strategically really helps, especially with the examples that you already have. So that's good. I do have one question regarding the design challenge that you shared. Did you actually tell them that, hey, this is a design challenge that was given to me in 5 hours, or the context didn't matter? They only cared about the case study?
No, I did. I did actually. I told them the company that it was for. I told them, yeah, I only had 5 hours to do
Mm-hmm.
this. And yeah, the whole point was to show how I can work in a very in a short time frame, right? Because that's very real world. I feel like.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing because you showed two different case studies with different scenarios, different background. So it added more like it made it the whole profile of yours to be more diverse, that you can handle everything. So that's awesome. I love that fact.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. Now, like in the interview, how were the interviewers? How did you feel?
They were they were lovely, honestly. They were It was interesting because I interviewed with another big tech company, and that interview was very. It felt very a little bit more like intense, but yeah, at least with Microsoft, they were very friendly. It felt more like a conversation than an interview. And I feel like just as important as, or not just as, but important is the questions that they're asking you, but also the questions that you ask back. right? Because that shows your ability to think things through and to show interest in just how you think on your feet. Um, but I actually I liked the interview process. I had three interviewers. I was very nervous. Each interview seemed to be around like one of Microsoft's like core values. So I had one interview focused on collaboration, right? Asking about my past collaboration, how I work in a group. Tell me about a time when you disagreed with a coworker, right? Tell me a time when you had to change path, right? Give examples of that. One was on, oof, one was on customer obsession, and past examples of that, and one was on AI and my opinions on AI because I was being interviewed for a position within the co-pilot organization. Um, but overall, they were very friendly. They were very kind.
Awesome. Was this like a panel interview or was it one on one?
Each interview was one-on-one and was 45 minutes.
Okay, sweet. Regarding the AI interview, how was that? Because AI is pretty like new out there. Not a lot of people have experience designing for AI or designing with AI. So, what kind of questions did they ask you, and how were you able to sort of respond to these answers? Because I'm sure that did you actually know that you're going to be interviewed on AI?
Prior, no. They told me when I started my presentation, they're like, we're all on the like the co-pilot team, co-pilot organization, and I was like, oh great, none of my projects have AI in them, but great, yeah. But yeah, yeah. The so that interview was fascinating. It was with a brilliant designer. I was able to learn a lot, and he was really just talking about his experience, my opinion on design and AI. How this tool is becoming so prevalent in people's lives now, and what is its impact on accessibility, right? There's this overwhelming fear of AI, I feel like. It's a very powerful technology, so how can we kind of bridge the gap between this powerful tool that's integrating into our lives and the people that are going to be interacting with it on a day-to-day, right? So just getting my opinions on that, and how, as a designer, how would I think on my feet to kind of promote that accessibility on a company with big impact. And come questions that I had for him, I remember asking him, at such a big company like Microsoft, right? As a designer, do you feel that your decisions are able to meet the end user? And if not, how do you kind of deal with that? How do you like? Do you feel almost like do you feel your design decisions are lost in the sea, right? And that was interesting, And what he said was, when it comes to big tech, it's almost like a bunch of small startups under one big name, right? Because you have Copilot, you have Xbox, you have Minecraft, Um, but yeah, we're just in a very changing time right now. So design is changing. It's cool.
Awesome. That's good. So, what's something you did that really helped, even if it was small at that time, like during this hiring process, or whether it was like application, it could be around portfolio. But you think that something that, now if you think about it, like today, you think that, hey, it was like, that really made a difference in my application or in how I was preparing for Microsoft or any job application, basically.
That's a good question. um, I think that I really think that Google certificate. I know I keep going back to it. I'm like a walking ad. But I think having some sort of very in depth case study is very helpful. I think that helped. What also helped um, was my degree at my university. I'm studying. It's a long name. Digital media with the focus in web and immersive platforms or something. But it's a lot of my classes are actually like programming classes. Well, mostly like front end classes. So I have experience with JavaScript, CSS, and just having like a technical understanding, I think, as a designer helps you build empathy towards those you're working with. And I think that helped me a little bit, and I did some like LinkedIn learnings. Um, and I think that, yeah, I think communicating that was helpful. Just that you can take initiative and that you can get projects done. You want to learn, that you want to explore more.
Did you actually bring these points in the interview as well, that you have experience in technology and you understand the language of developers, so you're able to make decisions based on that? Did you actually bring all these things as part of your interview?
I did. Yeah, I was trying to get any points I could during these interviews. But yeah, I did say, it's limited, but I do have an understanding of the validity of what I propose in my designs.
Sweet. So if someone's like in the first or second year or like starting school and want an internship at big fan company, could be Microsoft, could be Google, could be Amazon. What is that? I wouldn't say one thing, but like the next few months, 2 3 months, they should focus on so that they can get closer to that goal. Because for a lot of people, it's a dream, right? A dream that you're living right now. So how can they get started? Is my question.
Yeah. To be honest, I barely even know how I'm here, to be honest. I'm honored and I'm humbled. I don't know if I deserve it because I talk with so many designers that are so brilliant and so skilled, and the job market is just incredibly rough right now. Um, but I think you can never go wrong with putting your time into a personal project. I think that sometimes, like for example, at my university, there's no HCI major. My major is very broad, right? Digital media, that's such a wide scope. So I feel like, you get a surface view of a lot of different concepts in that major. Like I have front end classes, I have classes that are more about working with the Adobe suite, you know. Just so many different things, but it's up to you to really hone in on a specific skill set that you're interested in on your own time. So I think that really helped me. Just and that can be through like a club, through networking, working on a project, but just that you have this interest, and you're willing to work on something in your own time. If you can't get experience, if you can't get your foot in an internship, um, I think is helpful.
What would you do differently if you were applying again?
I sometimes during interviews, I can get a bit nervous. I think that like just making sure that everything I say, I'm prepared for a follow up question, right? Because like there was one point where I had said something about my previous internship, that was just kind of very very broad, right? That like a decision that I had made kind of impacted like a success metric, which was true, but they ask for like more specifics, and just make sure that you're prepared to follow up, right? Like give if you have numbers, if you are going to say that like any sort of number or statistic, be prepared to give very specific examples, and follow up details to that, because I
So
wasn't.
like you should have the answer for why and how. Like I say
Yes,
like, hey, we improved the user experience by 70%, and this is something I have on my
exactly.
portfolio. But then they might ask me, which specific metrics did you track that showed you that you got 70% increase, right? The questions like this, like how did you get this number, and what was that specific metrics? And then it could be even in depth, what tool did you use, and how that metrics is actually helping you solve the user problem. So you sort of have to like, I think, like tie it back to the problem statement, because now you're at the outcome, right? You've made the solution, you've made the design decision, so you should be able to stick the whole story together. And I think it's really hard because it's easier to put like numbers in. I did 90% this, I did 80% this. But like when they ask you those specific questions, you might just be like, I have no idea how that came. So yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for sharing
you're
that.
exactly
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Hey, so now we've made it to the internship. We've got the offer. We're so excited, and we still can't believe we got it. So, uh, yeah, today is your first day at Microsoft. Imagine seven. So it's you're 7 weeks in, right? Yes.
Yes,
So
yes.
imagine today is your first day. So tell me, how was your first day at Microsoft?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm a con artist. I shouldn't be here. I'm like surrounded by such brilliant, uh, hardworking, kind people. Really, I am. Not just designers. The other interns, software engineer interns, hardware engineer interns, project manager, technical project manager. Just such a intelligent, hardworking subset of people. And the imposter syndrome was real. Like the first day was that intern orientation. I'm like, everyone here is so smart, and I weaseled my way in. And I think everybody feels that way. It's very hard to get past that. But yeah, it was just a dream. I remember touring the campus. There's free coffee on campus. Yeah. My record is 4 chai lattes in one day. um, you know, uh, but yeah, it was just exciting. I remember meeting my team. Most of my team is remote. That is something that I really like about the company is that they have a lot of flexibility for remote. So I met them online, and they're just so kind and so helpful, and so intelligent. It's a privilege to be working with them.
That's awesome. Commenting on the coffee part, I feel like if it's free, then why not have four? That's
Exactly. Like,
awesome. And I've
yeah.
seen so many day in the life videos of people working at like big tech company, and then they start off their day by saying, "Hey, it's like 7 a.m. I'm at the gym," and then it's 9 a.m. I'm having coffee. It's 11 a.m. I'm out for a snack. I was like, when
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
work? I'm trying to like find
Yeah,
is
no,
that
exactly.
for real? Is that how things work there?
So it's very organization dependent. Not on my not on my team. Yeah, I will say the designers, things move very quickly. I'm also in an AI space, and there's a big push in AI right now to be first to market, right? Launch these products first. Like it's such an upcoming field, and there's so much money to be made. So there's a big push to release, to release, to release. We're designing like very closely with development. Normally things start in UX design and then kind of go to development, but we're almost working at the same time. That's how quickly things are being developed. Um, so no, sorry. It's yeah. It's at least in the team that I'm on. Yeah, it's quite fast paced. Like the designers work very hard. It's very inspirational. Yeah, and then me with my fifth chai latte. But
Yeah, I like
yeah,
it. So, is it like too much pressure? I mean, not, but do you see too much pressure for the people working full time there?
yeah. I mean, I Mm. I think, it's the reality of big tech, because with the opportunity to make such impact, is, the push of that impact. So I think that, yeah, I think there is quite a bit of pressure. I think in any tech AI space right now. And yeah, like I'll be honest, like I've worked on features like iterations for our current product that recently had like a GA release. And yeah, even like as an intern, even though I don't think I'm doing anything that important, but I do feel the pressure a little bit, to produce and to release and to iterate, to move quickly on your feet,
So, what's your
for
what's your
sure.
process like? Like, so for students, right? You start a project. You start from like creating a problem statement, wireframes. You move to like mid fidelity, and then testing with engineers, and then get feedback. This is how the typical UX process looks like from outside. But now, because you're working at Microsoft, you get to collaborate. You get to work with PMs, engineers, right? So I want to understand how's the process different, and what's like the day to day for a designer working at Microsoft.
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that question. Um, so So it's very different. So for interns, normally at big tech companies, or at least at Microsoft, will get like an intern project that will span 12 weeks, right? So they take a feature. It can be a more visionary project, or a more short-term project for 12 weeks. So mine is a little bit unique in that, when I joined, my manager told me, we don't really have anything that we could scope down to an intern project, and we want you to be working on something that will be implemented, that will be real and can help the team. So I'm kind of working more just on like uh, almost like amongst the other designers, just on like things that have to be done. Um, you know, uh, yeah, with my limited experience, but trying to contribute, So I'm just, yeah, I've had a few features. I'll be told, we need a feature that addresses this issue, that does this, right? In this current product. I'm actually on the Power Apps team, which is a low code tool by Microsoft that allows developers to use AI to build full stack applications. It's very interesting. Um, and, we need a feature that does this. So for me personally, like I will look internally, work with research. Research. The UX research team is great, and they make all of these benchmark studies. They identify the jobs to be done. The problem space. What are the needs? Why do we need this feature? Right. And once you understand the why, you understand, okay, where in the user's journey is this friction happening? Right. Like, why do we need this feature, and where is it happening? Then you can kind of see, okay, where in the interaction do I want to place my solution? um, because right now, designers are pushed to create very quickly. There's not a lot of time for wireframing or low fidelity. It is pretty straight to high fidelity, um, and that has its strengths, but it also has its weaknesses. But so I'll go into like a bunch of several mockups, several explorations. Um, then I'll show those explorations to my lead, ask for feedback, iterate, collaborate on that, iterate. When I get the final iteration with my lead, I go to project management. Does this address the job to be done? Is this what we're looking for? Work with engineering. Can this be implemented? How can I improve it to be implemented more quickly? I actually had a solution that I had to completely rethink, just because it wouldn't meet deadlines like for implementation. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I'd say a lot of collaboration working, but you don't really follow that very structured case study, academic case study, yeah, at all.
Got it. It's interesting.
Um,
Then why do then most of the students have this process on the case study? Like, if I can skip the low fidelity and move to the high fidelity, then I should be able to do that on my case study as well, right?
yeah,
uh,
yeah, I think so. Um, yeah, I don't know. I do think that it is good though to start in lo-fi, because when you jump in high fidelity, like I've gotten so far and put so much time making it pixel perfect just to realize that the whole information architecture is wrong, right? Or the navigation is too many layers deep, because I didn't take time to think more black and white. So,
was that at
yeah.
Microsoft, or are you saying in general?
No, at Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I literally had designed like a whole component, and I had to completely, there's a lot of issues with it, because I just jumped in because I was trying to meet deadlines. So you have to balance
Yeah,
that.
got it. So do they
Yeah.
use Figma as well? Is that the industry standard everywhere?
Yeah, Figma is definitely, I think, like I've heard, don't quote me on this, as I say on the recorded podcast, but I've heard that Apple uses Sketch. I don't know if
Yes.
that's true, but I think for the most part, um, Figma, yes, Figma is industry standard. I've worked on a few internal applications here at Microsoft. Like I'm doing a redesign for the incident management tool, um, ICM routing tool for engineers at Microsoft. So being able to like report feature incidents to the correct team, and just like a redesign of that internal app. And that app was actually made in Power Apps. So I'm using Power Apps to do my designs, which is more of a developer's tool. I'm not a developer,
But
so
that's
I'm learning.
that's actually interesting. So you're
But
also designing that tool, and you're using that tool to also redesign an internal tool.
it's so interesting.
That's the
Yes, it's
best.
so.
You are a designer and also you are a user.
I know, and it's
Yeah.
fascinating. So, it's really interesting. Yeah, yeah,
So you
yeah.
basically catch the
Yeah.
pain points right away, and then you just fix it.
Well, I don't know if I have that power. But yeah, and, it's like I'm auditing the product on real time, right? Because some of my projects have been, yeah, I've designed features for Power Apps, and then I'll use the current version of Power Apps to work on this other project for these engineers. Um, yeah, it's very interesting. And then I'll tell my manager, I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, no, I noticed this thing."
That's
You
very,
know, it's
very cool. Like I think that's awesome. Like the way they're
you.
doing it, that is very practical, and you've got so many pointers to contribute. Even if you're not contributing directly, you can talk to your manager. Hey, you know what? We need to fix this. Just because I was just working on this and I realized that this is not working super well, so there's opportunity there. So I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you feel like you get to take ownership of things? Because I heard that you get like a intern project by the end of the internship. So do you feel like you have ownership of that project, and by the end of the internship, you should be able to put it on a case study and say, "Hey, this is what I did while I was interning at Microsoft."
I think that, a core like principle of Microsoft is your ability to leverage the work of others. So like I was working on this feature and I saw that another designer, I was looking, there's so many Figma files. Oh my gosh. I was looking in one Figma file and I like, wow, this designer did a bunch of explorers on a feature similar to this a few months ago, so I messaged him. I saw you did some explore work. Where did you end up landing with this component? Why didn't it move forward, or did it move forward? And then like, oh, how can we collaborate? How can we consolidate our features into one? To make it more cohesive for the end user. So I don't think that there's anything that I've truly built from start to finish. I think like I definitely have designed features, for sure, but I don't know. It's an interesting question, because like I can say, I have ownership over the interaction that I'm proposing, right, in this way, and I guess like the specific features that I am designing. But I don't know. I think it's also when you're working on such a big impact product, it's so collaborative. So
I
yeah,
love
I don't know if
I
that
love that
helps.
line where you said that ability to leverage others' work. I think it's really
Thank you.
powerful because this is something that we can also show on our case studies. That hey, we were collaborating, and we don't have to start everything from scratch. Honestly, especially if we are working in a fast-paced environment, there's a lot of work that's already been done. So we can bring this pointer that hey, this was already done, and this is I took this work, and this is how I contributed after that. And then second thing about ownership, I feel like ownership is not just about owning a product, but I also feel like ownership is about the decisions that you were also able to take this decision. So that's like how I imagine to take this feature forward. And then I was able to talk to a senior designer or like a manager to see things like how we can move from here, right? So like bringing this ownership and like transparency on how we should move forward. It's like a collective and like a collaborative decision. So I feel like talking to you only 7 weeks in. I feel like you've done a lot already.
Aw, thank you. I haven't. I haven't done much, but thank you. You're so kind.
Sounds like, yeah. All right. So we've covered a little bit about the tools. Now I want to know a little bit about the documentation process. Are you documenting what you're learning? Because what's your plan? Do you think that the designers at Microsoft sort of document the process? Let's say I come up with three different ideas, and but the team decided to go with the third one, and then we're not going with the two. So do you like document the entire thing? How does that work?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, by the way. It's very helpful. I, yeah, so from a wider sense, at Microsoft, you have something called connects, which are kind of like almost like a performance review that you do on yourself. So, as an intern, I have three connects. I have, when I start, I set some goals for my internship. What are my goals that I want to accomplish while I'm here? What do I want to work on? And how will those goals help the company? Right. So I said a few like I want to focus on collaboration. I want to embrace a quality mindset with my work. I want to work quickly but with intention. I want to be customer obsessed, design for users, and how, those help the company. And then you have your midpoint connect, which I just finished, which, talking about what I've done to measure up to those core priorities and the impact that these what I've done has had, right? So, for example, I set this feature up for implementation, which will solve this current issue for users of the product. And then you have your final connect, which is kind of looking at all of your impact. Um, but as far as design work, yeah, so I will always have my initial explorations, right? So I am incredibly indecisive. So they'll ask for a feature and I'll propose several different ways that this for a solution, right? A bunch of different designs, like on different surfaces. Um, and I'll work, you know, very closely with, I think that being able to work cross functionally is very important, because if you're trying to like convince people of your designs, right, and why you think that this design should move forward, you have to understand the language. So like if I'm working with an engineer, I can say, oh, I created this design on an existing component, so you won't have to make anything from scratch, so this will help you meet deadline. It's easier to implement, right? Whereas if I'm talking to like a PM, I'll be like, oh, because, this is on an existing component, we can meet the deadline. Stakeholders will be happy, get this out quickly, Um, so just being able to do that. And then I always have, yeah, I have my explorations in one file. Then like in another page, I'll move on with the second round of exploration. Then, that I've met with everyone. And then I'll get final feedback and then I'll have my final solution. And then moving forward with that, you do your notes for development, any interactions like on hover, this will pop up or this will close. Um, yeah, and then you go through that.
Yeah, I feel like
So
the system is kind of made in such a way that you are documenting anyway. Like there's like a proper process. It sounds like there's a process that they're following, where things are pretty structured, and you know who's the point of contact for what. So that also sort of helps to organize quite a lot of it. So that's awesome. So how do you stay organized? And this I think might already asked this question, right? How do you stay organized and manage your work as an intern?
I don't think you did. I don't think I stay
Okay,
organized.
let me ask you
um,
properly.
yeah, yeah,
How do you stay organized and manage your work as an intern at a fast-paced company?
yeah. I mm, I don't know if I'm organized. Honestly, I think that I really do try. Well, actually, I am kind of no, but I have my I use Notion a lot. Actually, it's a great product. And I will have like my project, right, title, right? So like the feature that I'm working on, and then under it, I'll have all my notes, right? And that will include research, so links to a bunch of internal documents, results from benchmark studies that have been conducted. Why do we need this feature? Quotes from the PMs. What is the use case? What is the problem? What's the pain point? um, and I'll have links to my Figma files, in that little Notion space. Um, this amazing thing when you on Teams, you can record meetings, Microsoft Teams, and Copilot will take notes for you, so I can look back at meeting notes, look at the transcription. I think it's just, yeah, you do need to be organized, especially when you're working so collaboratively. So in my Figma files, there's a way that you have to structure your Figma files, or you should structure at Microsoft. You have like the cover that explains the feature, and then you just structure it in like a specific way so that people can easily identify and follow along with your thought process.
That sounds good. So now we're moving to the last segment of the podcast, and I think this is the most, not the last, but second last segment of the podcast, but I feel like this is the most exciting part of it. Let's talk about AI in the design space because there's a lot of noise around. I'd say AI is a real deal, of course. So I want to know from you, how do you keep yourself up to date with AI?
Yeah, I'm very passionate about this topic. So, I try to follow newsletters, stay current on what's happening. And like Microsoft did a partnership with OpenAI. I just try and I don't know if I'm that current, but I try to just get an idea of what's happening. My product is in an AI space that I'm working on. Um, and like just identifying other tools on the market, like there's a lot of low code tools out there, like there's Lovable,
Mhm.
um, bubble, a lot. And like, how are they doing? What are their new features? Um, and yeah, I think just trying to stay in tune. I think it's important. I work a lot with AI. I interact with Copilot to find me like internal documentation, things like that. And as I'm designing AI experiences, I'm also interacting with AI all the time, and that helps me. What do I not like? What do I like? Uh, and just bring back that mindset.
Cool. Do you follow some people? I know you mentioned a few tools, and then you also mentioned newsletter. But do you follow some people on YouTube or LinkedIn, or can you name some newsletters that you think would be really beneficial for other people listening right now?
I absolutely can. Yes. So one YouTuber I really like, he does UX design at Google. Ricardo Hernandez Perez. He is excellent, and yeah, he does talks a lot about UX. Um, I I'm blanking right now. There's one woman that is incredible. Um, can I find her? Sorry, really quickly. Let me just pull up the phone here. You can cut this out if you want. Let me find. Um, yeah, yeah, Sharon Yun Kim. She's excellent. I believe, interned at Amazon and IBM. Um, yeah, and those are a few. I love UX YouTubers that just really give you very real looks into the life. So, for I don't know. I think just like most of my awareness comes from auditing AI, using AI products just as a user. But yeah.
What's your favorite AI tool and why? Other than the tool that you're working at Microsoft.
Thank you. Uh, um, okay. This is very basic, but well, there's a few. Okay. ChatGPT is really great. I'm sorry, it's great because it's so simple. The model is so powerful, though. It's so powerful. It's amazing. It's like I can't believe this is AI sometimes when I'm talking to it. I also like Notion. Notion has an AI, and you can like I can quickly ask it like, oh, develop look through my all of the work that I have under this feature, right? And I don't know, write up some good. Like I literally asked it to write up some help me think of some research questions for a usability test of my feature. That I would conduct in the future based on this, and it wrote out some, and it's yeah, it's I think Notion is a really good example of a strong AI. And from a design standpoint too, it's very friendly. Like I don't know if you ever use Notion AI. It has like a little face. And it's so cute. And there's just so much fear of AI right now, and I think that's such a fun, creative way that they combated that.
That's really interesting. I was using ChatGPT in the morning and just like talking to it. That's how we say now.
Yeah.
And I was a little upset by the answer it gave me, and I'm like, bro, like all caps, bro. I don't want this. I want this. And the
Yes.
ChatGPT answered, okay, bro, okay, bro, all caps. So
Okay, bro.
it's
That's so
it
funny.
is. The way they're training it is crazy. It's like you're talking to other
Yeah.
human, literally.
It is. It's so
It's
personified.
very
It's
dangerous.
insane. It is, yeah, yeah. There's a duality of it for sure.
But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so what role does empathy play when designing AI experiences?
I love that question. Yeah, I think it's important to have a lot of empathy, because we saw right now everyone is relying on tech, right? Like to have this meeting, we're having it through a screen, right? To get into work, I have to authenticate, right, to get into my work email on my phone, or even my university, to enroll in classes, I need a laptop to do anything. And just as I feel that AI is becoming very integrated into that. Like our society is going to become largely, I don't know about dependent, but AI is going to become very prevalent in our lives. I think people are going to interact with it all the time, just as they do like iPhones and any software product. Um, so I think that prioritizing accessibility is so important, and that's both on the back end, that the AI can communicate to anyone, but also like on the front end, more like UX. Anyone can use this very powerful tool, but they can use it simply and intuitively. And that's also why I love ChatGPT so much. You can just talk to it, you can text it, like that natural language input. You can just text it like a text message, and it replies back. That's so intuitive. Anybody can use that, you know um, yeah, so we just have to, I don't know, make it seem, have empathy. A lot of people are scared of AI, and how can we present this tool that's going to integrate in our lives no matter what? But how can we present it? I don't know, ethically and
So you talked about accessibility in AI. I'm really curious because I'm a bit confused. What do you really mean by accessibility in AI? Do you just mean that access to everyone, like everyone able to use it quickly and easily, or is it something else that I'm missing?
yeah, I mean a bit of both. I think like promoting, allowing anybody to be able to access it. I think like a lot of AI. We call it here like at Microsoft barrier of entry, when it's hard to get in and use a product. So like for example, the product I'm working on right now, there's a lot of barrier of entry. Like you have to log in, you have to be part of a company, to be able to use the product and to make these applications. um, so that's one. I think that, but I also think, when we design experiences, right, we have to keep in mind, all user groups, right? So like maybe people that are visually impaired, things like that, or hard of hearing, and then how can we design for them in these AI experiences? Make it very easy to interact with, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Accessibility is a broader topic. There's so much that can go in, and I feel like especially a lot of big tech companies have the potential to make sure that it reaches to all of the people. And like it's wonderful you're working in that space. Like accessibility and AI, both are very powerful. Like if you're working in AI, you're working with the newest technology. If you're working with accessibility, you're working with the biggest pain point that I think as designers we have out there. That's awesome. All right, so we are on the last segment of the podcast, which is a rapid fire round. It's exciting. I want you to be honest, and I want you to be like one sentence or a one word answer kind of a session. Okay, so the
Okay.
first question is biggest myth about getting a UX internship.
Okay. You need a referral.
I like that.
That's my opinion.
AI will replace junior designers, true or false?
False.
If you weren't in design, what would you be doing?
Sorry, I'm having to think. Uh, I don't know. Maybe development. Front end
One
development.
piece of advice for a designer just starting off.
Work on a personal project.
Favorite YouTuber or content creator for learning design?
There's so many. I have to choose one. Ricardo Hernandez Perez on YouTube. Yeah.
What kind of a person are you? I'm not ready yet, or I'll figure it out as I go.
Uh, I'll figure it out as I go. I
That's the
think
spirit.
too much.
That's the last question we had. I wish I had a gift for you
Okay.
because you did a really great job at answering those questions.
Oh, really? Thank you. I don't know.
Yeah, you were
Thank
super
you.
fast. This is my third time doing the rapid fire round, and I feel like you were the fastest.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah, the wheels were turning a little bit. Thank you. I had to balance out all my yapping that I
Yeah,
did
people actually go
today.
into answering like why, though the rapid fire round is like, bro, like yes or no.
Yes or no? Go ahead. Go ahead. Really quick.
Yeah, but yeah, that brings us to the end of the podcast. Really amazing insights, and I had so much fun talking with you. I have got so many notes down here, which is going to be useful for
Oh,
me
thank
as
you.
well as the people who are listening right now. Thanks again for taking your time out today, and I hope you had so much fun.
I did. This was a blast. Seriously. Yeah. Unfortunately for you, I love talking about myself. um, but no, seriously. You were such a pleasure. And thank you for talking to me and asking about me. But I know that you are a very skilled designer. Your work is very strong. I know you have a lot of experience. So it just as you say you learn from me, I learned from you. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with
Yes,
me
of
today.
course. Awesome.